All right, it's time for another brand new segment. Are you ready?
Yeah. All right, our brand new segment on the Thursday second hour. This one's called 오정아의 마음톡톡 or 오정아's mind톡톡. 똑똑똑 그렇게 할 때요. We would like to introduce to you our Thursday second hour guest, Miss 오정아. She happens to be a therapist specializing in art therapy. She's also director at the Chicago Therapeutic Center, Chicago 심신치유 Center here in Centum City. Let's say hi to her.
안녕하세요.
Welcome입니다.
Hi everyone, my name is 오정아. Thank you for having me in the new season.
Aww. It's a pleasure for you to be joining us. You want to step a little closer to the mic? You want to hear your lovely voice?
All right. So I'm not get used to
There
it
we
You
yet.
don't want to
go.
kiss it, but about a fist's width
Right.
away.
All right. I
Yeah.
got it.
We're happy you're joining us here. So
Yeah.
every
Thank you for
Thursday.
having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So do you want to tell our listeners what this segment is all about?
Sure. As we know, we all encounter emotional mental challenges in some form. So I like to cover some real issues that people face in their daily lives. Each week, I will bring a real situation to discuss, and together we can learn how to better handle similar situations. And listeners are welcome to comment or send in their own challenges for us to cover. So firstly, we would listen to our listener's story, and we will take about we will talk about their issues to provide a better way.
Nice. So, shall we?
Yeah, let's listen to today's story.
안녕하세요. 저는 기장에 사는 아기 엄마입니다. 얼마 전에 산후 우울증이 왔는데요. 마음 놓고 털어놓을 곳이 없어 상담이라도 받고 싶은데 약물 치료도 아니라 효과적인지 잘 모르겠습니다. 심리 상담 받아보는 게 좋을까요?
Okay, I just want to say for the record, it's a really serious topic. You were just doing it to be the lady, right?
To be
that
the
was
lady,
that
yes.
was your lady voice.
That was my falsetto woman voice.
Okay, that's
which
fine.
you totally could have done, but the team has bestowed it upon me.
Well, it's because it's all in Korean.
맞아요.
어,
네.
어려워요.
그런데 I feel like this is a concern that a lot of recent moms
Yeah.
face, right?
나도 첫째. When I had my first child, I had 진짜 심각한 산후 우울증. Oh, really, really bad.
Yeah. So, Miss 오정아님,
네.
yeah, can you talk about, this story then?
Sure. Thank you for sharing your personal concern. I'm glad that you brought up the issue because it's really common. Many people express uncertainty about the effectiveness of therapy or counseling when it doesn't involve injections or medication. It's understandable to have uncertainty about the treatment approach to that is different from what people are used to. So in therapy sessions, it's important to validate their concerns. Therapy focus on understanding emotions, thoughts, and behaviors to promote self-awareness and facilitate positive changes in mental well-being. Also, numerous studies have demonstrated the effectiveness of therapy in improving mental health and reducing symptoms of various conditions. So, encouraging an open-minded approach and emphasizing the collaborative nature of the therapy can help individuals realize the potential for personal growth, insights, and the development of effective coping strategies.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much, benefits to come from. It's something. It's not something that you could just kind of sit back and just wait for it to kind of blow over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's the thing: Westerners feel like therapy, like so many. In fact, so many of my friends have therapists. You know, people go to therapists because talking is so effective and listening to other people is so effective.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in Korea, I guess, maybe don't understand the benefit of this kind of therapy.
Because, and, Tuesdays, Dr. Ryu points out how, going to therapy and seeking, treatment for things, it's seen as, other people might think you're, weak.
Yeah.
Some people might think it has taboo of some sorts, right?
Yeah, and it's really not. It
Yeah,
shows strength.
Definitely not. So, since this is, a segment about mental wellness that we're having here, I think it'd be great if we could maybe go through the basics in terms of the role of mental health professionals like our guest. So, could you maybe talk to us a bit on that?
Sure. Many people are not sure about what psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, and counselors' qualifications and roles. So I'd like to explain each of them.
Yes.
First, a psychiatrist, 정신과 의사, is a medical doctor who specializes in mental health. They are qualified to diagnose and treat mental disorders through medication. A psychiatrist can prescribe medication. Next, a psychologist, 심리학 박사, holds a doctoral degree in psychology and specializes in understanding human behavior, emotions, and mental processes. They do not prescribe medication unless they have a special training.
Yeah. People get them mixed up a
Yeah,
lot.
I always got them mixed up, right? So, setting the record straight.
Psychiatrist does prescribe medication. Psychologist doesn't, but can, but mostly doesn't.
Right.
What about therapists and counselors?
The term therapist, 심리치료사, is a broader umbrella term that includes professionals from different disciplines who provide therapy or counseling services. Counselors, 심리상담사, are similar to therapists. They typically hold a medical degree in counseling or related to field and are licensed or certified in their area.
All right. So, we had explained to you defined psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, and counselor, right? Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. Now, I heard that you are a therapist that specializes in art therapy. I'm very curious about that. What are the different types of therapies out there?
There are various types of therapy, such as psychotherapy, art therapy, or even hypnotherapy. Psychotherapy, 심리치료, is a collaborative process between a therapist and an individual or group seeking support for emotional, psychological, or behavioral difficulties. Art therapy, 예술치료, is a form of psychotherapy that integrates creative mediums such as visual art, music, dance, drama, or writing into the therapeutic process to allow for deeper self-expression and explorations of subconscious feelings and memories.
So what about hypnotherapy?
Hypnotherapy, 최면 치료, is a therapeutic technique that induces a relaxed state of the focused attention known as trance. During hypnosis, hypnotherapist guides individuals into a state of deep relaxation, allowing access to the subconscious mind.
Interesting. Have you partaken in any of these therapies?
Yeah, I mean, I love therapy. I think therapy is such a wonderful resource so that we can better understand our own minds, understand our emotions, break down things that are stuck in our maum. Yeah, I've never done hypnotherapy. I've done hypnobirthing type stuff, but never hypnotherapy with somebody else. But yeah, art therapy, music therapy, I've done drama therapy, like so many different things.
저도 예전에 예술 치료 한번 해봤는데, I think one of the basic kind of art therapies a lot of people are first introduced. 선생님 그런 거 하잖아요. You ask them to draw a house and a tree and the sun and stuff. So I won't tell you the exact results of my art therapy. 근데 저 그리고 있는데요. 뒤에서 있는 선생님이
Oh my.
어머. She was doing this the whole time. I don't think she was professional.
That's not professional at all. Although I feel her. I understand why.
Yeah. Now that we learned the basics of the different kinds of therapies, right?
Sure.
I'm curious. Can I ask you why you yourself became a therapist?
Sure. My father influenced me to become a therapist. My early childhood memories are related to my father. He was really gentle and nice when he was sober. On the other hand, he became really wild and violent when drunk. I remember when he was drinking a lot and crying sadly. It seemed to me that he apologized to someone or people while he was crying. He often said, I'm a loser. At that time, I was too young to understand him, and everybody thought he was crazy or something. And when I was in first grade of elementary school, I asked my mom in order to understand him, Mom, why does he act like that? My mom told me, your father was a nice man, but the Vietnam War was a dramatic life changer for him.
Wow. So he was in the Vietnam War.
Yes, that's right. So a little bit of his background, when he was in his early 20s, he was in the Vietnam War. So he luckily survived, but he got over 10 gunshot injuries.
Goodness.
Unfortunately, many of his fellow soldiers passed away. After he returned to Korea, he was able to cope with his physical injuries, but not his psychological problems. So basically, in his mind, he was still on the battlefield. Also, he felt deeply guilt about the fellow soldiers who had not survived.
Yeah.
Basically, the Vietnam War was a huge turning point for him. At that time, the diagnosis called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, 외상후 스트레스 장애, did not even exist. So he suffered from it for a long time without getting psychological treatment. So by watching him suffering from PTSD for many years, I knew sometimes the psychological problems would be much harder to handle than physical problems.
Yeah.
So one day he said, if I had the chance to talk with someone who could just listen to my story confidentially and in a non-judgmental way, I would be much healthier psychologically and mentally. That motivated me to become a therapist.
Oh.
That's such a moving personal story.
Yeah, it is. And this is a story that, I've actually heard a couple of times during my time in the U.S. because I've come across a number of Vietnam War veterans, right? And in the U.S., it's probably the same here in Korea. When they came back and the PTSD that they were experiencing, they couldn't really go to a therapist themselves because once again, if you go to a therapist, you're seen as you're weak. And you're a soldier, 군인이라서, you could shake it off, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But even till this day, they still experience these, mental hardships because of that experience.
And there's a lot of, I've not personally experienced it with any of my close people, but there's a lot of people who they feel that they're left behind, that the veterans aren't looked after well enough. When they come back and they have to reintegrate into society with what they've seen overseas, there's not enough time and attention paid to just the overwhelming severity of that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, 선생님, thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us, right? Telling us why you became a therapist yourself. Then I don't know if this is maybe too personal.
TMI.
Yeah, but have you received therapy for your own sake?
Yes, I have. I remember when I was in Chicago as an international student, I had adjustment issues such as adapting to new environment, feeling anxious, and so on. And so I received therapy sessions, which helped me a lot to overcome those situations.
What are some really important things that we should remember? If anyone is maybe thinking, okay, I would benefit from being able to talk about this issue. What is something to keep in mind for anyone who might be considering therapy?
Sure. I believe two things are the most important in therapy. First, anything you say in the session is private and will remain confidential. Second, usually people believe that a therapist will simply solve problems or dole out advice. However, that's not my method. I call my method a collaborative effort. That means I will meet you halfway. You need to meet me there so we can take this journey together. That's why it's crucially important for you to be as open and honest as possible in therapy sessions. As a therapist, I don't believe in rushing things or giving quick fix advice or solutions, but rather helping and guiding you to find insight into yourself. The reason for this is being motivated to change is more effective than being forced to do so. So from my experience in the field, this method may feel a bit slow-paced, but it's safe and more fruitful.
Yeah, I like that system where
Slow and steady.
Yeah, slow and steady, and you're actually working with right your patients. Could you maybe share with us a bit more about your therapy process?
Sure. The work I do with a client is not visible, so it may be difficult to gauge how we are progressing. So let's think of the back of your hand as your inner self. As we go through life, we are experiencing many things, so getting a wound is inevitable. Some people cover it up with out of sight, out of mind mentality. They're trying to forget about it. If you ignore or neglect a wound, it can become infected and postmortem may appear. So even if something grazes, a small grazes the wound, even a live feather, it can be really painful.
맞아요.
So others around you may not realize it because it's internal wound and not visible. It's only happening to you. So to treat the wound in terms of therapy will allow you to express your unresolved emotional issues and circumstances that you might not be comfortable with. Through this process, you will gain insight into your situation and yourself in a more objective way. So as pus flows out and the wound heals, there might be signs of the wound left, even a scar, but you'll be able to touch it without pain and live with it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a very visual way to think of it.
Yeah, and I always think, if you see someone with a broken leg, you wouldn't just say, okay, get over it.
맞아요.
You wouldn't say, well, there's nothing wrong, just stand up and walk. You wouldn't expect that. But when people have emotional or mental or, any kind of psychological wounds, as you say it, it's just as debilitating as having a physical ailment. Because
맞아요.
mental health, physical health is the same thing.
Because, for a lot of people, I guess it needs to be visual. There needs to be something that you could actually see for it to be deemed wrong.
Yeah.
But when it comes to mental health, something when it comes to our hearts and our minds, that's something that nobody can see.
Yeah.
Right? But the pain is just as real.
Absolutely.
Right.
Is there anything else that we should know?
So another thing is understand your personal patterns. So I like to explain what personal pattern is. So you can't choose the family you are born into, nor your background, such as your parents, siblings, even friends to a certain extent. Many of the social experiences you had and the choices you made were due to circumstances around you. With these social experiences, 3 personal patterns were created. First, your way of thinking. Second, your way of feeling emotions. Third, your tendency to behave in certain ways. So you probably already know what needs to be fixed or what needs to be worked on, but it's difficult to change these patterns on your own. So therapy will encourage you to strengthen your inner self so that these patterns, thinking, emotions, and behaviors will improve in positive ways.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you could tell by yourself sometimes that, this isn't not normal.
This is not normal.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the thing is, abnormal is normal.
That's
But
true too.
You don't want to be stuck in this subnormal. Like I feel like a normal way to want to feel is like a gentle gradient of joy. But it's so common for people to feel way down.
Yeah. But I think it's also important to have like, friends and family around you to be able to kind of like able to tell, oh, like Laura's not in like she's
Because of
like in a subnormal.
I'm this way. It's your fault. Is that what you mean?
No, totally not. No way.
Not at all.
Well, every Thursday we're going to be diving into this topic of, mental wellness, wellness specifically with our guest, Ms. O정ah, every Thursday. So I feel like, with Tuesdays when we have Dr. Liu and we ask him about like actual like physical like things,
diseases, disorders,
right? I feel like when it comes to our mental health, even our listeners, if you have any questions, right? We have like a 사연 today. So if you have any questions or curiosities about mental health in general, I feel like every Thursday we could ask you.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like 원장님 could help Dr. Liu also just calm down and relax.
Oh, to have the two
분위기
in
is
the
완전
studio?
달라.
아마 그런 기회 가지면 us two we could just step back from the mic.
Yeah, we don't
and
need
just
to
let
say
it happen.
anything. Yeah.
Right? 너무 기대되는데 특집 아이디어.
맞아요. 특집 방송 좋아요.
아이고 원장님 오늘 너무 감사했습니다.
수고하셨습니다.
Thank you so much. I will see you next Thursday then.
Yes, indeed.
Next Thursday.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.